In our world today, our data is pretty much everywhere. It's on our phones, it's floating around in the cloud, it's on our computers at work. It's really the lifeblood of everything we do. But how in the world do you protect it from a threat you can't even see? Well, let's dive into exactly that, how we find them. I mean, that's the big question in cybersecurity right now, isn't it? If an intruder is already inside your network, just quietly moving from one system to the next, how do you even know they're there before it's way, way too late? The answer, believe it or not, is something called event logging. Now just think of it like this. It's a security camera system for your entire digital world. It records every single digital fingerprint, every virtual footstep. It gives you this complete, unblinking record of absolutely everything that happens. And look, this isn't just some good idea I cooked up. This is a best practice that is being pushed by a united front of the world's top cybersecurity agencies. We're talking about CISA, the NSA, and the FBI in the US, all the way to agencies in the UK, Australia, Canada, and Japan. The message they're sending is crystal clear. Logging is completely non-negotiable. So in this explainer, we're going to break down their guidance into 5 key parts. We'll start with why logging is so important, then we'll lay out a 4-part blueprint for success, see how it actually works in different environments, learn how to protect the logs themselves, and finally figure out how to turn all that raw data into actual threat detection. Okay, so first up, let's really establish why event logging is the absolute cornerstone of any modern defense. It is all about being able to see into the shadows. And to build that kind of visibility, the experts have given us a really clear 4-part blueprint. This isn't just about flicking on a switch, it's about having a real strategy. So let's take a closer look. And this really lays it all out, doesn't it? First, you need the plan, a formal policy. Second, you need a command center to pull all that data together. Third, you've got to protect that data in a secure vault. And finally, you use all that data to build your watchtowers. That's your detection strategy. So let's start with part 1. So your policy, this is your playbook. It's the document that answers all the hard questions before something bad happens. It tells your team exactly what to log, how they should be monitoring it, how long to keep it. It's really the difference between being prepared and being caught totally flat-footed. All right, next up is the command center. This is where you bring all your data together. Most places use something called a SIEM. Now, a SIEM is kind of like having a security guard who can watch thousands of camera feeds all at once, understands every language, and just instantly knows when something looks weird. It's the brain of the whole operation. Of course, not all digital environments are the same, right? So let's take a look at how you apply this blueprint across different terrains, from your classic networks to the cloud and even beyond that.
Okay, in a traditional enterprise network, you have to watch the gates. That means you're logging your firewalls, your domain controllers, any server that holds the crown jewels. You're looking for patterns. I mean, one failed login attempt? That's nothing. But 1,000 failed logins from the same place in under 5 minutes? That's an attack, and logging is how you see it happening in real time.
Now in the cloud, you need to watch the cockpit. We're talking about the control plane. That's the administrative layer, where all the really powerful commands get issued. If someone suddenly spins up a dozen new servers or deletes a critical database, that's a control plane action. Logging this stuff is like having a flight recorder for your entire cloud infrastructure. For mobile devices, it's a bit different. You're watching for signs of a hijacking. Think about it. If a phone suddenly connects to your network from a country where you have 0 employees, that is a massive red flag. And if that same phone starts trying to talk to known malicious websites, that's an even bigger one. You're basically looking for the digital signs that someone else is at the wheel. And finally, we have operational technology. The systems that control our power grids, water supplies, factories. A lot of these systems are, let's just say, ancient. They often don't even support logging, so you have to watch the roads around them. By monitoring the network traffic, you can see who's trying to talk to these critical systems. Honestly, it's often your only way to spot a threat before it has real physical consequences. So you've gone to all this trouble to collect this incredibly valuable data. The next critical step is to protect it. I mean, what good is a security camera system if the intruder can just delete the footage on their way out the door? You have to protect your logs like they're the crown jewels themselves. That means encrypting them while they're flying across the network, storing them in a super secure isolated vault, and only giving access to the people who absolutely, positively need it. This isn't just a good idea, it's essential. Let's just be really clear about this. If an attacker can change or delete your logs, you are completely and totally blind to what they're doing. The integrity of your log data, it is everything. Without it, you can't trust a single thing you see. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important part, turning that mountain of raw log data from just a bunch of noise into a clear signal of an attack. The real magic of detection starts with one core concept, a baseline. A baseline is just a super detailed picture of what normal looks like in your environment. What time do people usually log in? What servers do they normally access? Once you know what's normal, spotting what's not becomes a whole lot easier. Yeah, this really shows the power of having a baseline, right? An admin logging in at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday? Totally normal. But that same admin logging in at 3 a.m. from a country they've never been to, that is a huge red flag. A user accessing their own files is fine. But when they suddenly try to download the entire finance database, that's a serious deviation that needs to be investigated right away. So, the whole path to detection looks something like this. Events happen, logs get created. Those logs all get sent to your central SIEM. Then the SIEM automatically analyzes them, looking for those crucial deviations from your baseline. When it finds one, boom, it generates an alert, and a human analyst steps in to figure out if it's a real threat or just a false alarm. So when you boil it all down, the whole point of this entire process, from making the policy to storing the data to analyzing it, is to turn a massive, overwhelming flood of data into a single, clear, actionable signal that tells you, hey, an attack is happening right now. Ultimately, every single click, every login, every connection on your network is generating data. And that data is constantly telling a story about what's really happening inside your organization. So the only question left is, are you set up to actually listen?